Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Break free from the forces holding you back. Get the life you deserve. Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, decrease depression, and start living your full potential. Thousands have used Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory, an evidence-based behavioral health breakthrough with incredible life-changing results. Getting rid of past trauma, having fulfilling relationships, increasing earnings, and living their best life. Now, the Foojan app is available to everyone. The app is Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory in the palm of your hand. Download the Foojan app today.
Do you wish to wake up one day and hit the Life Reset button? Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by Dr. Foojan Zeine, helps you navigate crucial life areas, heal the past traumas, and cultivate fulfilling relationships and careers. Life Reset is your guide to a profound journey to reshape your life. Grab your copy on Amazon or Audible now and embark on a path to a more joyous and fulfilled life.
Welcome to the Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan Zeine, a psychotherapist and the author and the creator of the Awareness Integration Theory. I'm so thrilled to have you join us for today, and I promise to be an insightful discussion. Today, I chat with Mia Nosanow. She's a licensed psychologist who specializes in college mental health. For 20 years, Mia worked at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, seeing thousands of students for individual and group counseling, since Macalester is one of the most culturally diverse undergraduate colleges in the United States, with students from every state and 99 countries, including many first-generation college students. So to address this growing need, since a lot of these students would go to her for counseling, she really saw what's missing in educating the youth. So Mia created the book, The College Student's Guide to Mental Health, a complete resource for students and the professionals who work with them, as well as the parents and loved ones. This is the first comprehensive mental and emotional health manual designed specifically for those in colleges. So in probably years about 17, 18, all the way to 25. For more information, definitely you can see, go to her website at mianosanow.com. It was great because I was sharing with her what my experience had been, since I teach at college and in the university, and I teach in the same age group that she's seeing as counselor. So we talked about all of the matters that are important to college students at this time as far as their mental health. And her book is really amazing. She goes through details of different angles, and we talk about, and she gives you some skills. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. I'm sure you will. Now, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Go anywhere that you get your podcast and look for, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan Zeine, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com, or any of my social media. I'd love, love, love to hear from you. You could go to my website, Foojan Zeine, and all the social medias are up there. Share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear from you. Everything, whether you have suggestions, whether you want for me to talk about a special topic, if you have questions that you have that you want me to answer on these podcasts, any of those would really, really be helpful to me to know what to bring to all of you. And go to Foojan app. You could get it from Apple Store or Google Play, and go through 31 areas of your life, really go like guided journaling. And we've been getting amazing feedback and improvement from people who have really used the app. So without further ado, here's Mia Nosanow.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, 3 experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.
Hello, Mia Nosanow. It is so nice to have you, everyone. We have Mia here, who is the author of The College Student's Guide to Mental Health and Essential Wellness Strategies for Flourishing in College. And she's a licensed psychotherapist, which she has been working with college students for so long. So it is so nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, we could talk from two colleagues. We're both psychotherapists, and I also am a teacher at Cal State Long Beach and University of Paris, working with college students. So I love the way your book kind of breaks down every single topic that I know that my students and my clients are going through. And I really appreciate that you've created this book for them, because not only you see them as a counselor in the college, but you brought many of these issues, which it has nothing to do with mental illness or, major breakdown in people's life. But these are skills that everyone at any age, but mostly at an age that this group is going from childhood to adulthood, actually does need to have as skills. And if they were lucky enough that their parents were able to share with them all of this, then awesome. But unfortunately, we're not that lucky. All of us are not that lucky. So to have a book for the students themselves, for the teachers who are guiding them, and for their parents, it's such an important task to do. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you so much. You're welcome. I really wanted to put a book out there that has the details of the different areas and skills that make up mental health and wellness, so that all the details were ready to go in one place from a reliable source. That was my goal.
One of the most important factors is that we talk about mental health. However, if your body is not healthy, it automatically is going to affect your mental health and mood. So it's great that you start your book with bringing the first chapter is sleep. That's what you need. Sleep. And then you talk about nutrition, you talk about movement. So it's like, how do you handle your health and your physical being and having it be at an optimum level before you expect your moods to be kind of balanced? Because if your body is not balanced and the chemicals of your body are not balanced because you're not taking care of it with three things that are supposed to give it the most amount of fuel, which is nutrition, and then your sleep and your exercises, but then we expect our mood to always be amazing and move forward and have high energy, well, we're not really watching the other side. And this age is the age for worst possible of sleep and better at exercise, but sleep and nutrition, really. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I started with sleep because I always jokingly say to myself, I can't help you if you've only had 2 hours of sleep. But I had so many students coming in with sleep problems. I can't get to sleep. I'm tired all the time. It was very shocking how many students really needed help with this. And so in working with students, I had to give them the rationale. Why do you need sleep? It's when you consolidate your learning. It's when you repair your body. You want this in order to be a good student. Why is it so hard? Our culture is sort of anti-sleep, and also that message of you're supposed to be partying all the time, or you can do life without sleep in college, and it's not true. And then I give so many strategies, different things to try for when you're going to bed, how to set up that time period, understanding you can't control everything if you're in a dorm room. Someone could be screaming, running up and down the hallway, like, how are you going to deal with this? Examples for how to wake up in the morning and what to do, how how to do that process in a way that's works for you and gives you the energy for the day that you want. And I talk about napping and so it's really a lot of ideas for how to think about your day so that you'll get the best sleep, so that you can be the person you want to be. And in every chapter, I also include, what if this didn't work? What if I really tried a lot and something's still wrong? Like how to kind of assess if you need more. And in every chapter, I also give like resources for what's on campus. So it's like your counseling center, your health center, your dean of students or whatever, and why that's a resource for you. And then with sleep, it's really the health center. And then resources that are off campus. So like a website for the sleep, the best books that everyone recommends on sleep. So there's kind of a complete, in one chapter, a complete understanding of the topic of sleep. And I do the same for nutrition and movement. And I take a really broad view of what moving your body can be. You don't have to go to the gym. The most important thing is to do what you love. I talk about substance use, because that's another really important piece for physical. I have a whole chapter on quiet time. And then I have sort of a miscellaneous chapter about your personal body culture, which really goes into how you see your body, how you take care of yourself, how you dress, your doctor's appointments, a lot of stuff that really came up for me a lot with students. Hadn't been taught these things that some people think, oh, everybody gets this. And I'm here to tell you, no, there's a lot of students that didn't ever learn certain aspects of how to take care of themselves. So I wanted to put it out there and make it more accessible.
Absolutely. I remember when I was in my 18 and I was going to college, I used to work full time, go to college full time. And then I used to then, our evenings actually started around 10 o'clock, which we got all made up and went into, clubs or with our friends and stuff. And then we didn't sleep until about 4 o'clock. We ate at 2 and then, In-N-Out burger and that kind of a thing. And then came back at home at 4 and slept until 7. So I got 3 hours of sleep. And I remember I used to go in between the break time at my work, go to the bathroom, go to the restroom and kind of just doze off for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes on the bathroom stall, because that was like catching up a little bit of sleep or right at, from 5 to 6, like between the classes to get that. So it's interesting that at an age that we're learning, we're supposed to learn a lot of information, be able to memorize, take tests. We're also at an age that we're not getting enough sleep. We're trying to socialize, we're trying to jam everything in there. And we think we have the energy to do it. And it's hard to be able to maintain a successful life with your work and study and grades and all the relationships that you have, and then you put a lot of stress on yourself because you see that it's no longer a balanced life. And as you share, the social media now is on top of all of that, where at every single second you're getting bombarded with more information because you can't handle 1 minute of doing nothing. And even if you're on a line waiting for somebody or you're waiting for your coffee or at night, laying down, you're still going with your social media, bombarding yourself. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the two thoughts is, yes, absolutely agree with you about the so much input and how much energy that takes. And also, if you're going out with your friends and you're having fun and you're eating together, like that to me is healthy. It's socializing and having fun is absolutely a key part of mental health. And I do think that a lot of students aren't doing that in the same way because of social media. They're checking they're on their phones while they're with their friends. So they're not really connecting in the deep way that we used to before the advent of social media. So I think there's problem. And yes, I'm always an advocate for balance and how to find balance with self-care and with, caring for your classes and learning and your relationships. And it's a hard balance to keep.
And you can't do well in school if you're not sleeping. I mean, that's like all the research says that in your sleep, you're actually.
It's I have so many examples of that in my book too. Just you there's this sort of that idea, oh, I have to pull an all-nighter before a test, but then you're going to do worse on the test because your brain isn't going to be thinking straight. And I had plenty of clients where I said, I just want to challenge you to sleep before the test and see how you do. And they always do better. They always did better. They believed me after that. Like, okay, I'm going to turn off at a certain point and get no, the minimum amount of sleep, 6 or 7 hours, 7 preferably is the minimum you should get. So yeah, it's the data's there. It's hard to convince people though,
It was
which is
interesting.
one of why people come to counseling to kind of get that support. Oh, this isn't what the culture is telling me, but I'm actually experiencing it as being better for me when I sleep. So
There was actually research that says if you could, study about like an hour and a half to 2 hours or 3 hours that you do like an hour, well, mostly 50 every 50 minutes to do that and get a little bit of a rest. But then when you finish studying one course, which is all the same material, to actually sleep for 20 minutes. So you allow everything that you've learned to kind of take a nap, like take a nap. Right after you finish studying this course, take a nap, and then allow this to kind of move in and get where it's supposed to hold in your memory, and then you start with another course or studying and doing whatever it is.
that's, I don't understand why that's true, but that consolidation of learning while you sleep is being studied, and that it's very important to understand.
Yes. One of the other conversations that I teach mental health and community well-being and drug and society in the university. And so the conversation of drugs is one of those conversations that is very prevalent in this age, whether it's alcohol, whether it's smoking cigarettes or drinking or utilizing different pills or, adrenaline, for ADHD, they use different kinds of pills, but then they use it even if they don't in order just to focus. And obviously marijuana is very prevalent in this population. And part of the conversation that shows up for this age is also that the time that you're developing your brain and you're trying to move ahead and learn so much and accumulate, you're also doing the opposite, which is utilizing mind-altering substances that are not necessarily toward the health of your brains. Many do it because they're stressed and they're kind of like trying to calm down their anxiety, and they're using these tools in order to calm down their anxiety. Plus that if they are socializing, the socialization is sometimes our socialization used to be only around food, and now you got food and drugs that creates that kind of the party, they drink, they use drugs together. That's also a very important factor in this age. And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's a huge factor, and it's a huge issue really across all ages, but it becomes so painful for young people when they lose control of what their goals are for themselves or their life if they're abusing whatever kind of chemical. And like you said, the study drugs do have, they work for a little bit if they make you focus, but then there's like this, you crash afterwards, and people are starting to struggle with depression from that, feeling down because they went up in it, then they came down. And obviously alcohol is such a huge issue. So in the book, I do try to go through every class of substances and just talk about it a little bit. And I also have questions for students to either journal on or just reflect on about what they get out of it, what they don't get out of it, or what their family taught them about it, what they're seeing their friends do, just to start to think about, because a lot of times there is that peer pressure element of, well, everyone's doing 10 shots, like I should do that too. And actually 10 shots is extremely dangerous for your brain and alcohol poisoning, and trying to think about what really works for me. What am I seeing? Just to start to get more self-awareness on all the different kinds of drugs, because, for example, like cannabis in the culture, students will like, well, everybody sits down, everybody in the house I live in, we all sit down at 10 at night and we all smoke together. And it's so fun because we're all connecting and we're reflecting on our day. And it's like this wonderful moment, except that I can't get up in the morning. So it might not be a huge issue for some of the folks in that group, but then if you're the one who's having this ill effect, can you still sit with them but not smoke? Like, can you tell them what's happening? Trying to get a hold of your own, whatever the student's issue is, because there's a lot of different kind of things, a lot of variety in issues with substance use, as you know. And I mean, I've talked to students about caffeine as well. It's, some caffeine's okay, but then I can't sleep all night or I'm jittery all day. There's so many folks that are like, oh, I didn't realize I couldn't have 3 of the huge drinks full of sugar and caffeine and still be okay, like that it was going to work against me. There's just a lot of learning to do about all different kinds of chemicals and how they affect you. And yeah, sometimes it takes a really bad experience and then someone will learn more. And hopefully my book can give them a taste and an understanding of more information about each different kind of substance and get to know their own values around it, so that to prevent one of those crises before they happen.
Yes, this age group also has the highest level across the globe. This isn't just about the US, but across the globe has the highest level of depression and anxiety and suicide attempts. So the anxiety is high, and I'm not just sharing it from like an mental illness perspective, but a high level of anxiety and stress that they got to go through, the sadness and anger and emotions that they really don't know what to do with. Maybe they weren't taught in how to regulate their emotion and what to do. And it's also the time that they're becoming an individuated person from their family. And depending on whatever the family dynamic was, whether they're allowed to individuate, whether they got individuals because they didn't have the support and they got early individuation, which they still need their family, or their fights in the family, or they're part of the family drama. So you could see that part is still very prevalent at this age, and trying for them to find who they are. Who am I beyond my family and my culture, and bringing that kind of together as a wholesome concept, like, what are my experiences? What are my likes and dislikes that are similar to my family and culture? And what is it that is different than them? And how can I bring that together? And you have chapters that talks about, your relationship with your family and your thoughts and emotions. And you really go through different kind of emotions and deal with each one and share about each one of them, so they can recognize it and see what it is and how to share it and how to be able to communicate in that way. What has your experience been as a college counselor about, how much their relationship with who they are and their family is prevalent at this age, and what can they do for it?
Oh, family is huge at all ages, but it's really huge for college students because for like the traditional college student that's moving away to home to go to college, it's maybe the first time you're away from home. For a student who's still living at home, it's still like you're starting to adult. So you're starting to look at, who am I without my family, or who am I because of my family? All these things are just really starting. And so I have a whole section on identity, which talks about what you got from your family, lots of different like reflection questions and things like that. And it's interesting because I also have a section on feelings and emotions, how to cope with them. But you're absolutely right. They're completely tied together. Like, we come from our families. So it's like we come from our greater culture too. It's who you are and what you've learned. So you can't rip it out of yourself. Like, you are going to always have that. That's the basis of who you are. And the more you can look into it and start to understand, oh, people in my family never talk about emotions. They never say anything like that's looked down on. Well, that's a really important thing to understand because guess what? Humans are hardwired with emotions. That's how we get information. That's how we process things. If you deny that you're having emotions, you're going to have problems. So there's two different sections of the book, but they are very, very combined. And it's a big thing that students brought into me over and over again was, I don't know what to do with my feelings. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I don't know how to manage it. And so my book outlines helping identify what am I feeling? What's going on? Like I give a list of different emotions, different emotion groups, how to get to know what they are, like different exercises to start to name your feelings. And you can't, if you get a feeling, you can't blame yourself for that. Like if you all of a sudden are mad or whatever, it's just your feeling. It's not the end of the world. How do you want to cope with it? Like I have a system for like identifying something, just seeing that it's there, and then what do I want to do with it? And there's a lot of variety in that, like how you want to cope with things, but it's a process that needs to be learned. And many families in our culture just want to ignore it. So we're not doing too well on that as a culture, I think. I mean, maybe we're starting to do a little better, but yeah, it's so important to mental health because it's like the weather, some days are sunny and perfect and beautiful, easy peasy, and some days there's a big thunderstorm. But usually the thunderstorm goes away in a couple of hours and then you can come back. It's never going to last. And I do think this generation and doesn't understand that as well, or doesn't know like, oh, just because I'm feeling sort of bad right now doesn't mean the world is going to end. It's just like I'm having a bad day. I'm feeling this. I don't have to be happy all the time. I'm having a rough day. Maybe there's a real reason, like I just heard some terrible news. So yeah, I'm having a rough day. What do I want to do to take care of myself even around that? Maybe I'm gonna go out have a hot chocolate with my friend, or it doesn't have to be like I have to be happy all the time. I do think that that the generations we're working with now sort of have this false expectation that, yeah, I'm supposed to feel good all the time. And I wonder if social media is kind of feeding that image, like, oh, these are the images of how I'm supposed to be versus, no, it's like the weather. It goes up and down. That's what's normal. And so I taught that over and over. I have a picture in my book of a sine curve. Like that's what feelings are. Like they're just going to go up and down. That's what's real, not I'm happy all the time. So it's a huge deal.
It's interesting because when you talk about this generation at this time, I think that there was a lot of before it was like it doesn't matter how you feel, it is what it is, move forward and just suck it up. And then we went into the phase of no, you're important, listen to yourself, reflect upon yourself. And I think that, it's almost like listening to yourself and loving yourself. Then it went to the other side of my mood are the most important factors. My feelings are the most important factors. Not that there's a signal, that there's a part of you that is sharing a message for you. But something that I keep coming across also, the sage group as I work with them, is that life is very mood based. And we talk about like, can it be commitment based versus mood based? Like you acknowledge your mood, you acknowledge your emotions, you acknowledge that that's showing up. But that's not necessarily the striving and the right and the fuel for everything, that it also needs to be looked upon, whether at this time, if you're wanting a goal to go toward and wanting something, are these emotions are going to support you to get to that, or you need to shift your thought process and emotions. And even though you don't want that to move forward anyway, I have to share that with myself every morning where I'm like, I don't want to get up and I'm tired. I don't want to get up and do exercise. And if if I go with my mood, guess what? No morning am I waking up and going to exercise because my mood will tell me just lay down. You're tired. Right. You should just sleep. You shouldn't do anything. And yet I go bypass that, right? I bypass it and say, I hear you, but there's something else that is important for me. And I get myself up and go exercise. And actually my mood gets better and my energy gets higher. So there is a difference between how do I acknowledge what I'm feeling and hold it as a message and then take the message and, move on to what it is I want to do, versus take the emotion and kind of now go sit in the pool of emotion and just sit there.
Right.
And I think this is part of the difference, that I see that we could offer as a skill to this age group, which is, yes, your information, yes, your emotions are important, yes, your thoughts are important, and how to see those as an important concept, but also if this is your goal, if your thought and emotion is blocking ways for you to get to your own goals, not the society's goal, not somebody else's goals, but your own goals, then, how do you bring that into a balance and move forward? And that's one of the biggest learnings that I think this age group has to go from mood-based life into commitment-based life, basically. And that's where you find the issues with procrastination and time issues. All of it kind of goes into this mood basis or pleasure-oriented base, and not wanting to go, get it in gear that I got to schedule my life in a way so that I can achieve the goals that I want. And when I do, then I feel self-confident. My confidence goes high, my esteem goes high, and I feel better about myself. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I just completely agree with all that. Like acting by your values versus reacting to your feelings. Like if you react to your feelings, you're going to punch someone in the face, you're going to stay in bed, you're going to feel I can't do it, and you're going to drop out of school. Like we don't want that. What is your values? Is like, yeah, I'm supposed to be learning. It's okay that it's hard. Yeah, even though I don't feel like showing up, I'm going to show up because I made a agreement that I'd show up to class, to my workout, to see my friends or whatever. I do think that your emotions are important data for whatever reason, and so are your thoughts. But a lot of students are like saying, I have a whole chapter on negativity, negative thoughts, like I'm so dumb, I can't do this, everyone's smarter than me. And that is something that's really nice to work on in counseling, is like, you're so dumb, and yet you got into this school. That doesn't really make sense to me. And helping students get another message. But it's important to know that you're saying that to yourself. Because if you don't acknowledge I'm saying I'm dumb all the time, then how can you work on it and say, oh, I really don't want to be saying that anymore. I think I'm at the worst, I'm average. That's okay. I'm at this good school, I'm at the University of California. It's okay to be average in this class. I don't have to be the best to be good, or whatever thing you want to start thinking. But that takes some work, which I try to give steps for and strategies for in the book, how to use a journal, how to look in the mirror and say, I deserve to be here, just like all my friends, whatever skill works for you. There's a nice variety. So yeah, those things are so important to work on.
Yes, and I created a psychology model. It's called awareness integration theory, which I do give to the students, like every area of their life. One week they kind of go work on it and look at how to integrate it and look at those pieces, because I can see when and you have a chapter in your book about reflection and how to look inside, and what are your thoughts, what are your emotions, what are the negativity that kind of like comes over you and you can't let it go, as you were just talking about, the beliefs that show up. And it's sometimes people don't really know how to reflect. I don't think that we've learned that in our school system as we're growing up. We're not learning it. If our family is not capable of, or hasn't learned into teaching us how to do self-reflection, we're not going to reflect. So sometimes I think the most time people come to us in therapy on their own is around late 20s and 30s, where they've kind of gone and hit their head on the wall, and they're like, okay, now what do I do? Which then comes up and creates the reflective concept. But at the ages like 17 to 22, 24, which they've come in the college years, they're less reflective. The reflection is something that they actually have to learn. And I think that in different ways, whether we do it in psychotherapy, or the way that you've shared it in teaching them how to do it with your book, it's teaching them how to become reflective. And sometimes when people become reflective, they do it with an angle of negativity. So the reflection is almost, let me figure out what's wrong with me. Not that, let me see how I think and how I feel, and not necessarily put a slant on it, but also let me see what I'm great at. It's not just what's wrong with me. Sometimes we take reflection as only taking a negative light to everything because we're going to fix it. But if we're only looking at negative light and not looking at our greatness and our strengths and resiliency and everything side by side with it, we won't have energy. We've put ourselves down so much that we just won't have energy to even want to come up. And I think based on also what you were sharing, that this is what we see in this years, where they look at success, they're on their own, they want to create something that is, they're adulting, they're moving forward, and they, based on the social media and, the success that they're seeing is like, I should already be there. I hear so much of this, Mia, that I don't want to do something because I'm going to fail. I'm like, who has ever succeeded without taking these paths? I mean, nobody just wakes up and is a full-on success on any skills.
No.
Right? But somehow we have that, we formulate that kind of an expectation that if I do something, I got to be a success at it immediately and not give ourselves the time that, I'm going to screw up. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall. And the whole point is to getting up and learning the skills and doing it over until I get it. But this concept of, I want it here and now. I want my 15 minutes fame. I want to be a millionaire with, being an influencer immediately. I don't have to go to school. I don't have to do any of these things. I just want it now. And I want it perfect. I think that kind of mental attitude also puts a lot of stress because it's very unrealistic. And we're living on with an unrealistic expectation. I have a hell of a lot of disappointments every day and a lot of stress.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think that's right on. And I think that's part of our culture now, especially with social media. There's kind of that instant, like you can buy something on Amazon and have it instantly delivered to you. So there is sort of an instant culture vibe. And I do I think even in the introduction in my book, I liken these kind of mental health skills and the processes as being similar to learning a sport, learning a language, learning a musical instrument. There is no one, even someone who's a genius at it, that doesn't take time to learn it and also doesn't practice for hours a day to get good. There's no such thing. I was a genius the day I got out on the soccer pitch. Soccer kids know they're practicing hours a day for years to get good. That's the only way. So that's the example I try to use in my book. But I think that the instant culture is playing against what's reality about success in college and success with mental health and wellness, because those things are baby steps every day, not quick fixes. So yeah, it's a hard sell to go against that instant stuff and say, no, actually, you're gonna have to do this every day of your life.
Yes.
Understand.
The College Student's Guide to Mental Health, Essential Wellness Strategies for Flourishing in College. You get the step-by-step tools to cope with the most common challenges in college. You get insights into why college is hard on mental health and what to do about it. You get real examples, stories, and solutions from other students in this book, and you get referrals and resources on every topic. It's true, you actually do give them referrals about books and different websites that they can go to. Mia, what is it that in a minute or so that you want to share that possibly we haven't shared yet and you really want people to know?
Oh, I think I would like to say that I hope that we can have a culture change where we all prioritize mental health skills and learning and put it on the front of the burner and not wait for it to become a crisis. I'm not going to take care of myself, then it's a crisis. And I do I'm having suicidal thoughts or whatever, like all of us need to value taking care of our mental health every day. And that's what I hope people can take away from our talk today and from the book as well.
Beautiful. Where can people find you?
I have a website. It's my name, mianosanow.com. My book is available in all the regular outlets, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, all that. And I've got some social media presence, and it'd be great to see people.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.